Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Jerry. And today I'm going to give you my honest thoughts about the OS27, the Frontier OS27 mill made by Norwood. I bought this mill exactly 1 year ago. In fact, it came up in my photo memories that it was 1 year ago, I believe the 17th of October, we were milling for the first time. So I got it at the beginning of October, put it together, and started milling. So it's been 1 year. Now, the best review is to actually see it in action and actually use it. And that's really one of the reasons I've made these videos. Plus, you know, my grandkids get to watch them and so forth. But my honest review of this, right off the beginning, at the beginning was, it's a clean looking mill. Everything's high quality. It looked high quality. The paint looked well, the powder coating, but we'll talk about all that. And I was very impressed with the build right off the get-go. Some people complained about the book, the instruction manual, putting it together, whether it was comprehensive enough. I found it was easy to build. It was easy to put together. It's just stick-to-itiveness, meaning you got to stay with it. You just can't give up on it. And if you think you're going to whip this together in 3-4 hours, you're sadly mistaken. It took me by myself about 6 to 7 hours of doing it. The diagrams, were they vague? Yeah, but if you just looked at the parts, I want to move this over a bit. If you just looked at the parts, you can kind of see how they all go together, including the trailer package. They could do a better job with the manual. I'll say that right from the get-go. They can do a better job, but again, it wasn't hard. I think it took me about 7 to 8 hours to build this entire build, put it all together. And I recommend immersing yourself in the build. Take your time, study it, because when things happen with the mill, you'll be able to diagnose it quickly, take it apart quickly, and find parts for it. This mill, you can find virtually everything you need at your local hardware store or automotive shop. Everything from bearings to the belts, probably even the clutch, I would imagine you can probably find or source it out. So it's a very simple unit. With that being said, it's made it in, I believe, well, OS overseas 27 is the size log that you can put in it. Now, can you put a bigger log in there? You can. It's very difficult though. You start getting over 23, 24, you have to do some creative clamping. You're just not going to use the log clamp to hold it because the handle is going to stick out. I'll show you guys that here in a minute. So when I get to the bigger logs, I'm pushing wood underneath the logs, you little wedges to hold it in place for the first cut. The second cut, I very rarely clamp it. I just flip it and let the weight of the log hold it down if it's a big enough log. The price for this mill with the trailer, when I got it last October, I paid right around the $5,000 mark. I'm sorry, the $5,500 mark, $5,500. I don't have the receipt in front of me right now. The sales agent I dealt with was Andrew. I would have to look at my paperwork to tell you his last name, extension 232. I read on the forums, not everybody, there's a few complaining about customer service. I had great customer service and experience with Frontier Mill. It might have been because of the time of year. The last year, 2020, in September, when I ordered it, it only took about 6 weeks to get it. We were just opening back up around here anyhow. Things were starting to get back to normal. Then it all shut back down in November. But I got that mill from either the end of August, I purchased it, or early September, and I got it, I think, the second week of October. No, I got it the first week of October, second week I was milling. So I understand there's supply chain issues. Go to your local hardware store. I ordered a generator. I have a few of them, but I ordered this little generator, a little quiet Generac. Supply chain issues. I totally get it. I understand. Not a problem. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just going to be patient. You have to be patient on any of these things you purchase right now. Anything you're buying right now, you have to be patient. And so taking it out on Norwood and the Frontier brand I don't think it's the right thing to do. They're doing their best, and I bet they're swamped. With the price of lumber, I'm sure everybody who had a little extra cash, whether it was COVID money, which it seemed like a lot of people got, they purchased wood mills. Around here, they purchased a lot of side-by-sides as well, but wood mills. And, you know, it's a great way to defeat it. And I purchased a wood mill. I used my own money to buy this, and I'm extremely happy with it. So the question is, right off the get-go, would I buy it again? Yes. Is there some things I'd like to see them address? Yes, and we'll talk about that. So let's first take a look. All right, I bought the trailer package. The trailer's not welded. Here comes a truck. All right, I don't think it's coming this far. So the trailer's not welded, it's all bolted together. I don't have the extensions on it. So if I had a 7-foot extension on this mill to allow me to do about a 16-foot log, which in time I want to build, I'll probably build mine, maybe not, just depends how much time I have. I would be suspect of this trailer with a 7-foot extension. That's just my, going down the road, I think it would be too flexible. Welding it wouldn't be a big deal, just tack it all together. We got the county floating our road. They're actually going to close my road next week, so we're going to have to swing in on a vine to get in here. And they're putting a new bridge in down at the Bigelow Creek down there. That's the reason my channel's named the Bigelow Creek. We have some property. We have 55 acres around the corner, that this beautiful stream in Newaygo called the Bigelow Creek. It's a blue ribbon trout stream. It's a fantastic trout stream. Waist deep in spots, or a little deeper, 30 foot across. One of the best in the state. It's fantastic. Well, anyhow, they're putting a Bigelow Creek down there. They're putting in some culverts. He stopped right in front of my house. So that's supposed to be done starting next week in November. So we're going to be driving down the seasonal road, down the road here called Basswood. It's only a 1-lane road with curves. It's going to be kind of sketchy, but there's only, hopefully you can't hear that, there's only 5 houses. 1, 2, there's 4 houses between here and the road. So it's only inconveniencing a few of us. So it's not a big issue, but we'll have to drive into town down that seasonal road. But back to where I was getting at, the trailer package, I think if you had the extended mill, it would be a little tough going down the road. It'd be a little flexible. So if I do get the extensions, or when I do make them, I'm going to have to address that. All right, the paint. They call it a powder coat. I believe it's more of a paint, to be honest with you. It's starting to chip and rust. Inside the bunks have peeled off. On top of the bunks, in the center bunks, have peeled off. So you can see the paint on top of my bunks, they have peeled off. If we walk around, inside of there, on the other side is where it's starting to peel and bubble. So I'll show you that. Sorry about the crazy camera work. Can you see that down there? Right in there. So that's all peeled off. It's starting to rust. To be honest with you, I throw my log stops in there, so I'm sure that doesn't help either. These log stops. I just chuck them in there, and I'm sure they've compromised the powder coat. I have a solution, and I haven't done it yet. They make a stainless steel wrap, a top piece that goes over the bunks here. I'm going to do that. Keep them, one will protect your wood from staining, especially oak. Oak will get stained from this metal, red oak especially, if it sits on here. But I'm looking for a stainless steel barbecue, and I'm just going to bend up. You see them all the time for free when you're not looking for them. I'm looking for one now, and I haven't found one yet. But when I find one, I'm going to cut it up, and I'm going to bend them with a brake and make bunk covers for it. That will solve the tops of these. Now, I think this is safety yellow, so I could probably just go to the Ace Hardware in town and pick up some yellow spray paint in a rattle can and just take care of it. And I'll probably do that this winter. All right, these log stops. They could have done a better job with the log stops. All they did was they put a little angle on there. Can you see that? Little angle right here. Well, what happens often when you turn your log, it will sit up there. So what I was mentioning before earlier in a previous video, a couple of my followers, I mentioned putting some rollers on here, bearings, and I wanted to put some on. A couple of my viewers did exactly that and sent me some photos of it. I really like the one gentleman's. He's got 2 bearings flush with the outside, and it rolls right over. It looked like exactly like I wanted. Another problem with these, they're only held down. Let's check if you can see these thumb screws on the video. They're only held down with these thumb screws here. So what happens is when you put these in and you roll your log up over it, now granted I got these on backwards right now for you. When you roll these logs up over it, if you don't have the wheels to roll it over like the wood misers and some of the other mills, these will push down. And then you got to push the log off of it. So a little upgrade I did on these log stops, I don't know if you can see them well, is I put these detents in here. So when I put these in, it just drops in the detent. It can't be pushed down. I also painted it. These are getting faded pretty bad. This red line is 4 inches, 6 inches, 8 inches. 4, 6, 8, 10. So this is up 10. Yeah, that's up exactly 10 inches right there. So I know looking at it quickly that right at 10 inches, I can go over this. What I did is I left myself a 1/4 inch. And if I go to 10 on my scale, I'm safe. So that's a nice little upgrade. I would recommend putting those detents in there. I'll slide it right down to the next line and it stops right in there. I don't have to crank it down real hard. I just hand tighten it and that's it. A problem with these is while we're down here, these are just held on with these 4 bolts. Goes through. They did thread this plate, which is ridiculous because they have backing nuts on the back side of it. These do get knocked out of square. You can't tighten these tight enough. I found in my experience, I can't tighten these tight enough in my experience to keep these from getting knocked out with some really heavy logs. So about once every couple of months, I broke these loose and I adjusted them. And I try to keep them square. I use the framing square to square all my lumber. I don't rely on this. I cut the first fletch off, roll it 180 degrees. I see guys arguing on forums that that's a waste of time. I found with my mill, Nathan Elliott does it. I saw him with Sandy, a few other guys. They use these squares. I took up that practice and I got a lot better results. So 180 degrees flip and then 90 degrees. Tighten it down, check it with your square, tweak it if you need to. I don't rely on these. So the bunks could be addressed and these could be addressed. Let's look at the track. Okay, this track here is a 1/4 inch steel. Let me get the tape measure. This track is 1/4 inch steel. I'm sure you can't see it, but it's right at a 1/4 inch on my scale. It's 1/4 inch, 4 inch. So it's an angle iron, 4 inches, 2 inches tall, and there's 2 pieces along each side that's bolted together. Some guys were complaining about some inconsistencies. I don't know how the heights would be thicker from one side to the other, but some guys are claiming that's the case. I didn't run into that. I suspect it's probably when they put it together, they have something underneath it. There's some plates that have to all go tied together to lock it all in. And if you do have something underneath it, or you have a burr, you're going to hold one of them higher. And I suspect that's what the issue is they're having, because these are all one long piece coming off the foundry and sheared off out of the foundry there. So I doubt they're the same, different. One guy asked me, messaged me and said he had about an 1/8 inch difference. And I bet if you took Mike's, measured them, they're probably pretty close to being the same. We have some log stops. If you get the trailer kit, it comes with these lights. I didn't put them in. The tires on the trailer package, I've not had any problems with them. They roll down the road just fine. I'm not sure what size they are. Let's see if we can find it here without my glasses on. They look like 13 inches, what I'm getting, 12 or 13 inch trailer tires. I can't see with my bad eyes. 12, 155 R12s. So they roll down the highway well. I've not had any problems with this going down the road. If you get the mill with the trailer package, it comes with 6 trailer jacks. I've been leaving them right here. I've moved this from site to site a few times now. Very easy to set up. Not an issue setting it up. Some people have problems setting it up. I've never had a problem with it. I get it level. I level it all up. And I sight down the rail, making sure we don't have any high spots. And I do that occasionally anyhow. Every couple of weeks, I'll check the mill, make sure everything's level. The world moves. We get frost and things heave. So the bed itself, I find very sturdy. I don't have any problems with the bed. What I would like to see is maybe another bunk, and I can do that. I was just thinking about taking a piece of white oak, a couple pieces of white oak that I have. I milled a piece of ash that hangs over. Quite often when my boards hang over, if they're out way out here and they don't make it to there, at the end, it flexes down a little bit, and I have to double cut the last board. I have to cut a little wedge off of it because it pushes down, it flexes. So another bunk in the center, or just even a wooden one, I think would be a great idea, and I think I'm going to do that. I know some other guys have put some bunks. If you get the extended package, you definitely will need another log dog. This is the clamping mechanism. This works just fine for me. The problem you do run into, this handle sometimes. When you get the bigger logs, when this slides out and you're out here, there's no clearance for the sled, and the sled can hit this. And that, anytime you get into about 23-inch logs, that's going to be a factor. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm using wedges. This mill is capable of cutting to about 1 inch off the top. And that's when I use this log dog. It's a log clamp that clamps down. And they've done a nice little thing here. And I know all the mills are this way to some extent. When you're on your, at the end, and you're at the big part of your, or the last part of your cant, you have this little stop here. It only comes up 3/4 of an inch. So long as I don't go below 3/4, actually my mill, I don't even think it will go low enough to hit that. Let's try it. I'm going to lower the mill all the way down. Let's see if it hits that. We're going to do it live right now. I got the blade on it. I'm going to go slow because I don't want to hurt my blade. Will that hit? My mill is all the way down. And I hit the bunk. I can't go any higher. Or, I'm sorry, I hit the bunk. I can't go any lower. Come on, Jerry. So to just clear the bunk, I'm still not clearing the bunk. Can I don't hit it. Let's see the other one. Let's see if they're all consistent. I've just cleared the bunk. I'm not hitting it. Oh, that's nice to know. I've never did check that. So I can't hit those. That's good to know. There's no possible way to hit those. Yeah, good. Learn something with you guys right on camera. Sometime or another, you're going to hit your log stops. I've hit one log stop one time. So unfortunate. It's history for the blade. Live on camera. Another thing I would like to see them address, as I'm looking at this right now, there is supposed to be a thumb screw right here that holds this blade guide, or I'm sorry, this a blade. I guess it's a safety device. I don't even know what it's really used for. I mean, you got a spinning blade there, so you can hit your hand on anything. But so that's, I suspect it's down here in the dirt somewhere. Let me look real quick. So you will buy a bag of these. I bought these off of eBay, I believe, or Amazon or something. I think it was Amazon, a bag of them. So we'll just put a new one back in. I usually end up finding them when I clean up. I'll find 2 or 3 of them down there. That will fall off. That vibrates out. Let's look under the hood. So to open it, you got a latch here. I broke this latch. I broke this. They have a locking mechanism on them. I didn't know that. And I couldn't open it. I thought, boy, this one's tight when I got it. I used a screwdriver to pry it open. There's just a little button you push and then it opens up. So I kind of feel like a heel about that, but it always pops open now. So let's look under the hood. Let you take a look. Inside here, you have 2 belts, a drive belt, and an idle belt. This idle belt, a lot of people question it. Why is it so loose? It doesn't seem right. You wouldn't be able to get it on if it was the exact size. It would be too tight. Plus, the tension of the belt, or the saw blade, holds that belt on. So you can see it's nice and loose, as it's supposed to be. There's 2 little safety switches. Periodically check these, make sure they're working. They work. You can hear them click. I just got done milling, that's why there's sand in here. Or sawdust, it looks like sand. I'm gonna clean this out here when we're done. If you open this with the motor running, it will shut it right down. Nice safety feature. So you don't have to worry about little hands getting in there with the motor running. The blade guides. These are the ceramic blade guides. I don't know what would be better. I've never had a mill that had roller bearings for the blade guides. And then they do have roller bearings on the back. I'm going to have to replace one of them pretty soon. They're still in good shape, but I think I'm going to set it on hand. You can just get these bearings in the back right at any hardware store or automotive shop, not hardware store. But the blade guides themselves are ceramic. I don't know where you'd source those. Those are the only thing on this mill that I'd be suspect of finding. So if anybody knows where you can get the ceramic blade guides, let me know. It has just a simple 1/4-inch copper tube, bent copper tube with a rubber line for the water. Very simple and effective. 84-inch belt on the OS27, and I believe, let me look. I'll show you the belts that I use. I've only replaced the drive belt once. An 84-inch belt. These are Gates High Power 2, B84, and High Power 2, B56. These are the belts for the OS27. The tracking on this, once you set the tracking on this, you shouldn't have to play with it much. Very rarely do I have to play with my tracking. And how you check your tracking, let me show you that real quick. You want the gullet of this tooth flush with the front of the wheel. If it rolls back, it's going to cut up your belt. And I did get a little cutting on my very first drive belt, just a little fraying on the edge when I first got it. I had the blade too far back. So what I do is I check the gullet, then I reach behind here and just make sure the back of it's flush with the wheel. And then I give it a turn it a few times, make sure that blade isn't going forwards or backwards, it moving in and out. If it does, it's gonna fall off and you're gonna wreck your blade, you're gonna knock out several teeth. Let alone maybe possibly do other damage possibly to your belt. So that's under the hood. Put the blade guide or safety mechanism back together, latch it down. They have these cam over center hinges that are pretty convenient. I'm using the 7-degree Norwood blades. I bought 20 of them when I bought the mill. I've got 10 of them so far in circulation. 9 of them in circulation. I've broke 2. It comes with 1. I've only gone through a pack of 10, and I keep going through and sharpening them and resetting them. I've got probably over 100 hours on this mill. I use this mill a lot. You see a lot of milling in the videos. That's just probably a quarter of the milling I do. I don't video all my milling. Comes with a steel covers. I know the Norwoods and a few other manufacturers come with a plastic cover. Only advantage I could see to the plastic cover would be when your blade does pop off, it doesn't hit the edge here. If it does pop off and damage your blade. However, you're going to be cutting up your plastic. These things are pretty durable. You make a lot of sawdust, and a lot of sawdust comes out. I believe this mill handles the sawdust efficiently. I know there's some guys who have done some mods in here with regards to the sawdust and keeping the sawdust from building up in there. I saw one guy, now I might do this. He run like a broom brush over that idler pulley or that wheel over there and just rubs on it. So the sawdust never sticks to the belt. I thought that was pretty slick. Now, these things, these chutes here, when you get them, they come with a bunch of bars in there. And I'm going to tell you right now, the manufacturer does not recommend cutting those bars out, because they have a bunch of lawyers on scene, I'm sure. And what those bars are for is to keep your blade from shooting out. So if this blade was to break, it can come out this hole. And if you had somebody standing here, it could be a problem. I have broke 2 blades on this. And each time they shot out about 4 or 5 inches, 6 inches, boop, and they stuck out. Well, what if that thing shot all the way out? Can it? It's possible. I doubt it highly would, because these teeth will snag as they're going through. So it probably won't, but each time it came out about 6 inches. So that's I believe the only reason those bars are in there. My motor's what size is it? 13.5 horse motor. Briggs & Stratton. Only issue I've had with it was the throttle. The throttle cable, not the throttle in the acceleration of it. I use regular gas in it. I burn it through. I know some guys will always say non-ethanol. It's pretty hard to find around here. I continually burn it, and at the end of the year, if I know I'm not going to use this, I will run it out of gas. I'll let it all run out. But, you know, I've been doing that. I'm not a young chicken anymore, almost in my mid to late 50s, and I've been doing that my entire life. Fuel was better when we were kids, you know, it was all better for the motors, had all that lead stuff. But anyhow, I've not had any problems with it. So it's been a good motor. I did put an hour meter on it. I put one of those Chinese hour meters on it, stopped at 10.2. That was the first week I got it. So that's under the hood. The coolant system is adequate. It comes with a plastic valve. I replaced that just after a couple of months. I had it just kept moving on me. I couldn't get it snug enough. And then I finally got some leaks around it. So I went to the hardware store this time, and I bought myself a proper brass valve. I did buy the auto lube system. I've never installed it. The reason I haven't installed it, I got the bugs worked out of this. I use very little. This will last me a long time, hours and hours of milling. So I haven't really had a need for the auto lube system yet. So I'd like to see them do away with the plastic valve and put a proper valve, a brass valve on there. When you build your mill, so make sure when you put the cables on, counterclockwise again brings it down, clockwise brings it up. If you don't do that, it won't hold. It will just drop. Now what I do is I get this thing there's an adjustment here, because you don't want to wear your arm out. just so it starts barely holding right there. And then I go about a half a turn more, because I don't want this. If you get it too loose where it's really easy to move up and down, see, that's pretty loose still. I want to go a little bit more. It can move down during your cut. So get it adjusted. It's not hard to do. So it will stay for you. You got an oiling system, any kind of oil. I usually use transmission fluid, and I squirt it in here. Keep the cables clean. The emergency stop, I've not had any problems with it other than knocking a wire off one time. I snagged it. I suppose I should probably get the zip locks out one day and tie some zip locks up and do some wire management here. Not done that yet, but that could be addressed. The mill has a locking feature. I don't use this locking feature at all. So you have a stop here, so the mill can't go any farther. And on this side, you have this locking feature that when it comes back, it locks right in there. So it can't go forward. I really don't need it. I never use it. What I did is I put these wooden oak scrapers in place of there that scrapes the track for me and pulls the sawdust off the track. Because what will happen, you'll start building sawdust that falls down, lands on the track, builds up on the wheels, and you get bumps. Ever since I've done that, I've never had an issue with my wheels. I don't have to clean them. But I do have these little tools I made that I can get in there if I do get any dirt on the wheels. I put it right on the track and I scrape the wheels. They work great. I got a little flat on them. A Briggs & Stratton 420cc, 13.5 horse, the XR Professional. I don't know about the Briggs anymore. You know, they used to be a great motor, and this one's been good so far. We'll see how it holds up. It's adequately powered. I wouldn't want to be any less than this. I didn't get the electric start. I don't even know if you can put an electric start on this one. I never even looked. No, not on this one. You'd have to, maybe you can. You'd have to get a different cover, I'm assuming. But the starter would go right there. I can see where it mount up. But to adjust the blade, the saw blades, the tracking, you got a nut on both sides. And this just drives in and out. You just take a ratchet with the proper socket and turn it in and out, or a wrench. And it usually requires maybe a flat at a time. Not much adjustment. Once you get it, leave it. It's 4-post design. I like that. It's pretty sturdy. You have these, I'm assuming the high density polyethylene. It might not be that. It could, but I'm thinking it's high density polyethylene plastic wear guides that slide up and down on this post and that post over there. Not had any problems with that. No problems with the bushings. You got some you have some carrying assembly straps, I guess these would be. And I didn't have my tractor with the forklift trying to put this whole unit. I built this whole unit on the ground and then set it up there. That's where I had my cousin help, or my brother. Who helped me? My son. It was actually my son. Helped me lift this up and get it up on here. It's pretty heavy, the unit. Now, if you're going to transport it, they have some locking mechanisms that you lock it up back over the axle and you bolt it down. Change the oil. Keep your mill clean. Keep it covered. Keep your blade sharp. Your tracking correct. Anyhow, keep all that stuff. Keep the mill cleaned up. Keep it in shape. And I think this mill will serve you as a homeowner very well. So again, would I buy this mill? I would buy this mill. I believe you could even make some money with this mill, depending on how you value your time. You know, sure, it'd be nice to have a hydraulic mill, but our bodies are made to be used. So I don't mind a little work here and there. Hydraulic mill would be nice, especially if you wanted to make money with it, but I'm using this for my own needs. I actually do mill for quite a few people, but I mill at my leisure. I'm retired. I take my time, and when I get it done, I get it done. I brought my mill to a job site before. Wasn't bad at all. There's some things to consider. I actually made a whole video about that. If you're looking to buy one of these mills and transport it around to make money, check out that video and you'll see what it takes. You'll see what it takes to get the mill from here to there. You don't need a building or anything for it. If you didn't have a building for it though, a cool cover would be a quad cover. And that's what I was using for a while. One of my covers for my quads, I was hanging over it, put it right over the engine system. So that's a nice way to keep it out of the elements. I blow it off when I'm done. In the wintertime, what I do is I put some boards on it. Then I put my tarp over the boards. That keeps the snow from building up in between there, and it just makes it easier. And I blow all the snow on, or all the sawdust onto a tarp and haul it away so it's not getting built up with snow and turning into a big chunk of ice and sawdust mixed together that takes months to melt. So keep them clean, keep them oiled up, do your maintenance, put this mill to bed every night, and this is going to serve you well. For the price, I don't know if there's another mill on the market that's made this well for the price. I understand there's headaches people have had with the company. I didn't experience that. My experience has all been positive. So hopefully they can work out some of their issues with employment and staffing. I totally understand. I've owned a business and staffing is always tough. As for Andrew, I've never had a bad experience there. He got on everything all the time, and just understand that the supply chain is shut down right now. It's things aren't moving and going as quickly as they can right now in every facets of the world. And there's all kinds of explanations people will tell you for that. So guys, that will about do it. If you have any questions on this Frontier mill, hey, shoot me a message. Leave a comment. You can access my email, I think, through my YouTube page. If not, it's bigelowwoodcraft@gmail.com. Shoot me a question, and I can help you out. If I can, anyhow, I'll try to help you out. And enjoy the experience with it. I'm really happy I made the purchase. There's still not a day that goes by I think about getting out here. You know, I don't get out here every day, and you will at first, but you know, we've got other things to do in life. But this has been a good mill. I think about milling every day. I think about lumber. Every time a board comes off, you've made money. I've milled on this now. I keep track of what I mill. Now I'm close to 20,000 board feet with this, with zero problems. That's a lot of wood milled in 1 year with a manual mill, 20,000 board feet. Now, guys are going to say, oh, I do that all day long, every day. Well, I don't mill every day. I mill a couple times a week. So, guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. And thank you very much for coming along for this journey. You guys have a great day.